Overcoming our parenting challenges doesn't even start with what we do with our parenting. It starts with understanding ourselves, understanding our triggers, making peace with our past. Hello, Cycle Breaker. Welcome to another episode of the Parenting with Understanding podcast. My name is Marcela Collier, and today I'm alone. Rachael is not able to join me at the moment, so I'm going to take this episode this time to share with you 4 lessons I learned in 2022 and how that's going to serve HIC parenting and how that's going to serve my own parenting moving forward. I want to announce that next week we open registration for our first webinar of 2023. So if you're a parent of a child of any age, including young adults, including teenagers, including babies, including toddlers, any age, and then you feel that I want to make respectful parenting work. I don't want to raise my children the same way I was raised. I want to change the standard. I want to break generational cycles. However, I feel that after reading all the books and watching all the TikToks and listening to the podcasts, I still struggle to keep my temper. I still struggle to not get triggered by my kids' behaviors. I still struggle to provide for my children the parenting that I want to provide. So if that's you, the masterclass is for you, because I'm going to share with you 5 shifts that I saw work after coaching hundreds and hundreds of parents from all over the world, to shift your parenting from frustration to peace and cooperation. So next week, you're going to see the link to register. Is completely free in the description of the podcast episode, the next podcast episode, and on my bio at High Impact Club. Lesson number 1, overcoming our parenting challenges doesn't start with changing our parenting. Okay, so how did I learn that lesson? In 2020, HIC Parenting created the Parenting with Understanding podcast. I wrote the Parenting with Understanding podcast based on my experience providing therapeutic care for children with high behavioral needs. I mean, these kids were having, all of them have different diagnoses. Some of them had cognitive delays or PTSD, ADHD, mood disorder, and then applying my experience and training as a therapeutic provider helped these kids with their behaviors. They went from having a lot of aggression, tantrums, high defiance, to communicating their needs in a better way. So I'm a therapeutic provider, and then I'm a certified positive discipline coach. At the time, I thought, okay, so this has provided a lot of transformation for the children that I work with. I trained a few parents in my community, and then they were finding transformation as well with their kids. So I decided to create the Parenting with Understanding program and bring it online. And then 500, almost 600 parents later, a lot of transformation these parents are living with their kids. However, I found a big challenge that these parents were facing, and they kept DMing me, emailing me the same concern over and over again. And what was the concern? Marcela, the Parenting with Understanding program is awesome for me to have the tools to help my kids, but who is going to help me? Who is going to help me not lose it with the kids? Who's going to help me staying patient? Who's going to help me not projecting my past hurts, traumas, generational patterns onto my kids? It almost feels that I have the capacity to apply Parenting with Understanding tools as long as I am regulated. Because when I'm not, it's really hard. It's challenging. And then those were the challenges that were coming from customers of the Parenting with Understanding program. And then I started thinking, what was the missing piece? What was the missing piece? And then I started listening to their words. They kept saying the same thing. What about me? What about who's going to help me? Who's going to help understanding myself? So I'm the container, the emotional container, the strong emotional container that my children need. So I said, okay, so I'm not trained in a parent-centric curriculum. I'm a certified parenting coach. I'm a former therapeutic foster care provider. I have my training and experience has been helping the kids. And then now I'm helping these parents help their kids, but they need help with themselves. So I said, okay, Marcela Collier, as the leader of HIC parenting, you need to do something about this. So I decided to get certified in a parent-centric curriculum. And then I did a test run. A few members of the Parenting with Understanding program, they started in 2022, the whole year. They started meeting with me every single week. Every Thursday at 12 p.m. CST, we were meeting, and then I was parenting coaching them, not from the what to do with your child perspective, but what to do with yourself perspective, from the parent-centric perspective. And things changed. I mean, the transformation, the shifts, the aha moments, the obstacles that these parents started to overcome in their parenting was so incredibly, I would say, outstanding and far way ahead from the parents who just had the child-centric program, which was the Parenting with Understanding program. And then that's when I realized, wow, I mean, truly overcoming our parenting challenges doesn't even start with what we do with our parenting. It starts with understanding ourselves, understanding our triggers, making peace with our past, understanding our attachment style, how that affects our parenting, the conscious and unconscious parenting patterns that we're passing on to our children, regardless if we are educated in gentle parenting or not, regardless if we have parenting tools or not. If there is not somebody trained to put a light on those hidden blind spots in our inner being that makes us not show up in the way that we want to show up, then parenting tools with our kids is not going to work. That's when my clients in the Parenting with Understanding program started seeing big shifts in the parenting. They had the parenting tools to help the kids, and it was good. But when they have the full spectrum of how to help themselves and then the tools to help their kids, that's when the whole shift started to apply for them. And plus that, the Parenting with Understanding program up until this year, it's been self-paced. And last year with that test run I did with those few parents, I noticed that the weekly coaching from their parenting coach, holding their hands, keeping them accountable, navigating new challenges as the weeks go, as they apply the tools, as things come up, as life situations come up, relocation, a grandparent dying, or a family dynamic that was not there before, that holding hand from the parenting coach played a big part. And for that reason was that HIC Parenting decided to create the Parenting with Understanding program, to turn it into a big group coaching program where clients get personalized, direct experience with their parenting coach every single week, not just to help them with parenting tools with the kids, but to understand themselves, to manage their triggers, to recognize their attachment style, to make peace with their past, all those things, all those parent-centric things for you to become the parent that you want to be in 2023. And this program is launching in the first week of February, and then we are celebrating it with the first masterclass, free masterclass of the year. And I'm so excited for what is to come for you here in HIC Parenting Education. I cannot wait to see parents transforming their lives, transforming their parenting. Many of them saying that it didn't only help them with their kids, but it helped them with their marriage. It helped them with healing their relationship with their parents. Wow, so I cannot wait for that. Lesson number 2. Information gave me personally as a parent, information gave me knowledge, awareness. Parenting coaching gave me transformation. And yes, I'm a parenting coach, and yes, I'm under parenting coaching. For the whole 2022, for the first time ever, I sat under the umbrella of a parenting coach every single week. So I've been hiring parenting coaches for consultations in the past, but this is the first time that I see through pretty much the whole 2022, every single week, I was meeting my parenting coach. And let me tell you something. One thing is for you, or at least for me, one thing was to read a great parenting book, to go to a parenting class, which last year I went to other parenting classes. I'm a parenting junkie, by the way. I love nerding out in this topic, so I attend classes, I read books. One thing is to get information from those sources that is great information. However, it's general information that may or may not apply for my specific situation, may or may not work for my kids, may or may not work for me. And once I started consistently working with my parenting coach every single week, I started finding that that's where the transformation laid, because this trained professional was fully capable and trained to help me see things that I couldn't see in books, about my family dynamic, about my kids, about the way I am seeing my children's behaviors, the unconscious beliefs that I was bringing from my childhood, from my personal traumas into my parenting. Those were things that I couldn't find in books, and I found it in parenting coaching. And you can find that as well as you start working in our 14-week coaching program with our HIC parenting coach. All of them are certified parenting coaches from the Jai Institute for Parenting, and they're going to be walking you every single week, holding your hand and putting a light on that blind spot of your parenting so you can find, that was another thing. Not my parenting coach didn't tell me what to do. She put a light bulb or a light on my blind spot, and I saw the things that I needed to change myself. And that's what the parenting coach does. And that's what I can do for you in our 14-week parenting coaching program. Okay, so lesson number 3 that I learned in 2022. One thing is knowing parenting strategies, and another different thing is integrating parenting strategies. So what do you mean by that? So do you feel that, yes, I watch a lot of parenting TikToks, I get great tips online, I read books, I try to apply them, and when I try to apply them, oh man, it feels like I cannot apply them. I lash out. I lose my temper. It does not happen. It does not happen. So what is it that makes some parents so successful at something that people call gentle parenting? I call it parenting with understanding. And how come other parents are not successful? So after coaching 10,000 parents in HIC parenting, I know it's crazy, but yes, HIC parenting, we have 10,000 clients already. I found a pattern. And the pattern was that knowing parenting tips and knowing how to apply them from the head, from your understanding and knowledge and logic is one thing, but it isn't until you integrate that parenting style in your nervous system that things happen. Let me give you an example. So one of my parenting coaching clients, she was doing all the right things through her daughter's morning meltdowns. She was doing all the right things, all the in the book right strategies that I would recommend as a parenting coach. Yet, the child was having really long tantrums that were turning into meltdowns. Sometimes they were 20, sometimes they were 40 minutes long meltdowns. And then after a few weeks of parenting coaching, she noticed by herself from the awareness that she gained through parenting coaching that she was co-regulating from a place of anxiety herself. She was co-regulating from a place of not inner peace, inner unsafety, and she was co-regulating from a rushed mentality of I'm co-regulating because I need to get over this tantrum as quick as possible, and I've learned that this is the strategy to apply to get over this tantrum as quick as possible. So what was her child picking up? Her child was picking up that. Her child was picking up that because according to Interpersonal neurobiology, if you want to learn more about it, I encourage you to read the Dr. Daniel Siegel's research. What is that word? Interpersonal neurobiology. It means that when we relate to others, we pick up more on their demeanor, on how safe or unsafe they feel, how anxious or not anxious and secure they feel, how they present themselves, that even the things they do and even the things they say. This mom was saying all the right things. This mom was doing all the right things, and through her parenting coaching every single week with her HIC parenting coach, she found out that those were great things that were not working because she was co-regulating from a place of anxiousness and not inner safety, and from a rush mentality that I'm applying this to get over the tantrum as soon as possible. And her child was picking up on that and feeding off on that. So that was my third lesson. Knowing parenting strategies and integrating parenting strategies are two different things. And lesson number 2, and I learned this from personal experience, parenting my twins and parenting coaching my clients. And this is the lesson. Development, and I'm talking about child development and parenting development, meaning your development as a parent, is not a straight line. Development is not a straight line for children or for parents. So what do I mean by that? I found something. I'm going to talk about my personal experience parenting my twins, and then I'm going to move on what I saw with my parenting coaching clients. So Santiago, one of my twins, he started feeding therapy all this year. You know, he has high sensory needs, and then sometimes even if you're a parenting coach and know many things, you need help, professional help, specialized help. And then I knew that we needed that kind of help. We enrolled Santi, my 6-year-old, in feeding therapy. And what I found out was that he's made great progress. Yesterday, he ate vegetables he's never eaten before. And if you would have told me that last year, I would have been like, no, you're joking. He cannot be eating that. And he ate vegetables yesterday. So he's made great progress. Yet his progress has not been a straight line. It has not been that he went from not eating vegetables, not tolerating textures in his mouth, to eating all these vegetables. It wasn't like that. The progress was that we made a little progress and then we regressed. And we made a little more progress and we regressed. And then in the middle of the year, we stay stuck for a long time. And that's when me as a parent started asking myself, okay, what's happening? Is there something that I'm doing wrong? Is there something that the therapist is doing wrong? Is it that something needs a different therapist? No, development is not a straight line. It's not a straight line. And the same thing with my parenting coaching clients. Many times after working for a few weeks, they're finding great transformation and then they stay stuck for a while and they're like, what's happening? Okay, so I'm going back to yelling. What's happening? My kids went back to being defiant, or their tantrums went back from 5 minutes, like we made a lot of progress. Now there were 5 minutes and they went back to being 20 minutes or more. What happened? Development is not a straight line. So if you take anything from this podcast episode, from the Parenting with Understanding podcast episode of today, is do not give up on parenting with understanding. Do not give up on gentle parenting. Do not give up on your parenting goals, desires, and the way that you want to raise your kids, because when you don't see progress as a straight line, you may start questioning, is gentle parenting for me? Is parenting with understanding for me? Is it for my kids? And then you start listening to voices, outside voices that know nothing about child development, that know nothing about the work that you've been putting on. Maybe your mother-in-law, maybe your neighbor, maybe the auntie, people telling you, you see? Your child went back to 20-minute tantrums. That's why I told you, you need to spank him, or you need to do this, or you need to be more stern. And then you start questioning yourself. I'm telling you this after working with 10,000 parents, 10,000, and myself as a parent, and seeing the regressions in my own children and in myself as well. I'm not patient every single day. I'm not well composed. I'm going to go to your level and lower my tone every single day. Sometimes I yell and then I forgive myself and I ask for forgiveness for my kids, but it's definitely not a straight line. Progress is not a straight line. Progress comes with its ups and downs, and it's okay. And that's the lesson that I learned in 2022 with my parenting and with my working with my parenting coaching clients. So remember that next week we are going to launch our first free masterclass of the year for you who's been reading Gentle Parenting, following Gentle Parenting, still struggle to apply it. At least it feels like pulling teeth for you. If it feels that way, I highly encourage you to come to the free masterclass. I'm going to share with you 5 shifts for you to start doing today that has worked for my clients, for you to start doing today to go from frustration to peace and cooperation. Next week, you're going to see the link in the description of this podcast episode, on my bios on Instagram, on TikTok at highimpactclub. And if you don't follow us, follow us. So you can find us. You can find us at The Considerate Mama, at High Impact Club, on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube. If you are one of our customers, if you have any of HIC Parenting's products, I encourage you to join our private Facebook group. That's our private community where we get to talk and to develop meaningful relationships with parents who have our same struggles, our same desires, and our same parenting style. So if you feel vulnerable sharing your parenting struggles online, because any person who doesn't believe in your parenting style could come and give you, criticize your parenting, this is a great private community for you to connect, to vent, to give your what has worked for you, what hasn't worked for you. You can look for us on Facebook, HIC Cycle Breaker private Facebook group, and request to join our private Facebook group. If you found any value on this podcast episode, I highly encourage you to write a review. Let us know how it has helped you so far. It will help us, number one, get to more parents, because the higher the review, the more we're going to be suggested by the podcast's search results. And number two, it will help us promote our podcast in social media and let people know that there are great things happening in the Parenting with Understanding podcast. I'll see you next week. And guess what? Next week and the following week, the next 2 weeks, I'm going to release a parenting coaching session with one of my clients. Of course, she knew we were going to air her parenting coaching session in the Parenting with Understanding podcast. I want to start bringing you behind the scenes how HIC parenting coaches work with their clients, with their parents, and hopefully you find great transformation as you listen to this mom working through her parenting struggles. That, by the way, her parenting struggles are: my 3.5-year-old doesn't sleep through the night. They wake up in the middle of the night. They don't want to sleep in on bed, and I cannot go and continue doing that because I have almost a brand new baby, and I'm breastfeeding all night, and it's just hard for me, and I'm not sleeping. I feel at the end of my rope. So if that's something that interests you, I highly encourage you to come back next week, because I'm going to be walking this parent towards her solution in the next 2 episodes of the podcast. Remember that it only takes understanding to break your cycle, to transform your parenting, and we'll see you next week. Bye.